So you do, use it.
I will call on Sunday and say to her, okay, we have to do something, what do we do?
Yeah. Shalom love. Maybe shalom love. Good.
Hi.
Is she back?
No.
Wow.
Thursday.
Is she coming back?
Yes.
Oh, good.
She guaranteed me.
No.
Thursday she's coming back. So, we'll be good. Good.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How many people have said to you, are you okay? You do laundry?
Only a couple, actually. Most people know by now that Margaret, goes to South Dakota every second summer for two sisters, and they drive up.
No, I got that.
But,
It's like you've lived for this long, you probably need to take care of it.
yeah, not as well as when Margaret's around, but yes.
So, I go away, and I come home, and the dishes are not in the sink, and there's food in the refrigerator, and...
Yeah. And we're away for 2.5 weeks this summer.
And, makes the bed, and changes the sheets,
Yeah.
and everything.
And when I'm home, he still cooks.
And it's
I
not
just let him cook.
That's what we do in the building, take a look.
how much you want to get what.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
so she probably died.
That's a great picture. No, talk on her now. That's a good picture. I finally updated Facebook on picture of me, stuff like that. Everybody's like, it's a very good picture.
You find out it was my best.
Yeah, she has a little craziness going on. Oh, you can't find her? Give it to her.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. We are in the month of Elul, the entire month that leads up to Rosh Hashanah. Time for us to take accounting. Oh, sorry, we need microphones. For yes, I know, but the streaming cannot hear no matter how loudly I speak. They cannot hear if we don't put microphones up. So I think thank you. They are. Look at that. So as I was saying, this is a month of taking accounting of what we want to try to address over the holidays and for the year that will be beginning. And as I said last week, one of the reasons we Jews try for something better than American New Year's resolutions, which most of us tend to break by the middle of the afternoon on the 1st of January, is because we try not to think of them on New Year's Eve. Very seriously, I don't quite understand how people come to a high holiday service and sit down and feel like, okay, change me, fix me, make me better, something like that. That's not possible. We aren't doing magic. We do liturgy. And liturgy can help us express what's in our hearts, but it can't tell us what's in our hearts. And so we use the month of Elul to gently take the time and think, what have been our successes in the past year? What have we done well? What are we proud of? What do we want to continue? And at the same time, what do we want to do better? Where have we fallen short? I'm not at all a fan of the word sin because it conveys something which is not a Jewish message at all. I much prefer the idea of missing the mark. Anyone here ever done archery or riflery? Okay, me too. It's fair to say that every one of us who does that is aiming for the bullseye. It'd be silly if you weren't. And yet, very often we don't hit the bullseye, certainly not at the beginning, and why not? Well, let's see. There's the wind. There is our own aim. There's how carefully we control the release, whether it's a gun or an arrow. There are distractions around us. There is the pull of the individual bow, the sighting of the individual rifle. I was on the rifle team in high school. All of these things affect where we hit as opposed to where we aimed. And so we learned that in order to hit the bullseye, we may need to aim to the left of it, to the right of it, depending on the wind, depending on what's going on, depending on the sighting of the individual weapon. There's no way to walk in and simply drop everything into the bullseye. And yet, sin to me conveys the idea that we're trying to do it wrong. And there are people who don't care about doing it right. My hope is that we will catch them quickly and lock them up because they don't play well with others. But for the majority of us, and certainly the majority of the people that we work with here, I know for a fact that we're all trying to hit the bullseye. On whatever it is we're doing, it matters to us. We want to do something, we want to do it well, whether it's relationships with others, relationship with the world, whatever it might be, we want to do it right. So Elul is a time that says, okay, look where the arrows have fallen over the past year. If you notice they're all to the left, you can adjust. If you notice they're all going way too high over the target, okay, you need to reduce a little bit on how much you're pulling back. The only way to say that our next attempt might be better other than coincidence is to take account of where the arrows have fallen. And that's what we do in Elul. We take the time to stop and look and say, where have the arrows fallen? Where did we hit the mark? Where did we miss the mark? So this Siddur, which we've used for a couple of years, is specifically for this month. And it combines Shabbat with meditations, thoughts, prayers that may guide us to the thought process we need to do. So I hope you not enjoy the readings, but appreciate them. And if you find something that really, really works for you, feel free to keep reading it even when we move on. It's okay. When I find something that works for me, I need to read it 4 or 5 times in a row before I really can internalize it. So we're not going to yell at you if you don't read along. If you find something and you just stay there for the whole rest of the service, that just means we succeeded in what we're trying to do.
So the other thing that we do on during the month of Elul, besides blowing the shofar, which we will hear at the end of the service, is to remember that it's our chance to get close to God. And so we read this love poetry on page 3, Dodi Li. We read this to remind ourselves that relationship takes work. Relationship takes intention. And so intentionally, as we look towards the upcoming holidays, but prepare for it, we sing Dodi Li to remind ourselves how important it is. Dodi li vani lo aohen vashoshanim Dodi li mizot Zot Ola Min HaMidbar Mizot Ola Min HaMidbar Dodi Vani Lo Haroeh Bashoshanim Dodi Mihi Kuteret Moru Levona Moru Levona Dodi Bani Lo Haroeh Bashoshanim Dodi Libavtini Achoti Kala Libavtini Kala Dodi Vani Lo Haroeh Bashoshanim Dodi. We turn to page 20 as we welcome all of the peaceful angels, the servants of God, into our sanctuary. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei HaYon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaElyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaElyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shuvchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaElyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Page 4. Our sages teach, wherever 10 Jews live, they must set up a building where they can come together to pray. Such a place is called the Beit Knesset, a house of assembly, a synagogue. And so we learn, wherever 10 gather in prayer, the divine presence is among them. There is holiness in community, for in community we meet the Holy One. Hinei matov, how good it is to be together. How good to gather as one people before our God, who cherishes the uniqueness of each soul. Hinei matov, precious is the gift of community. Blessed is the joy of our gathering. On page 6. Before we slip too quickly into the season of the soul, let there be a Sabbath of Sabbaths for the heart. Before the music of creation's majesty, let there be a silent praise of existence. Before the feast of sanctified words, let there be a poetry of solitude. Before we enter the places of prayer, let us find within ourselves a place of calm. Before we revel in the wondrous and sublime, let there be an honest inward gaze. Before the rites and ceremonies of awe, let there be quieter days, an island of attentiveness.
Kol Kol ha-neshama Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Kol ha-neshama Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah.
Page 11. In the beginning, emptiness and chaos, a great darkness over the deep. The Spirit of God moved over the waters, explosion of light, the long chain of emerging life. Behold, it was very good. These candles evoke the very first light. Out of the darkness came reason, purpose, consciousness of beauty, the power to discern and do what is right. Let us hold the light in our hearts. Let us bring it with us into the darkest corners of creation. Where there is pain and fear, let us offer the light of love. On the facing page.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Source of blessing, eternal God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Shabbat. Page 13.
לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור ישענו, נקדמה פניו בתודה, בזמירות נריע לו. כי אל גדול אדוני, ומלך גדול על כל האלוהים, אשר בידו מחקרי הארץ וטרפות הרים לו.
Page 25. In the middle of the page. Magnified be your name, here and now, in the life we are living. May we expand your presence in this world, extend the light of your goodness, make visible and tangible your love. Summoned to a purpose beyond ourselves, we bend our knees and bow. On the facing page.
יתגדל ויקדש שמך הבא,
אמן.
ביעלמא יברח חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, וימרו
Amen.
יהי שמך במברך, להלם מהלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתהלל, ויתהלל, שמי דקדושה,
בריחו.
לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דעה מהירן בעלמא, ואמרו Amen.
I orient myself to the east, facing the land of Israel. I align myself with my people, embracing a noble tradition. I enlist in the work of justice, repairing a broken world. I take upon myself this mitzvah. Wherever you go, be a blessing.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
On page 29. Excuse me. All of them are travelers, bodies in motion, obedient servants of celestial laws. Moons orbit planets, planets circle stars, stars spin around galaxies, galaxies cluster.
Drawn by dark matter. Super clusters flow, driven by dark energy. All of us are travelers, bodies in motion, unwitting servants of the flow of time. Within us, atoms vibrate, electrons whirl, and we are changing,
aging, spinning our own orbits, drawn together, drifting apart, driven by forces we barely understand. Particles of matter in perpetual motion. We yearn for clarity and calm, strength to master our own dark energies, and to counter the darkness in our world. As we lift our gaze to the starlight, may we lift ourselves to embrace a higher law. Page 30.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu v'shofenu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu u'bahem nehege yomam v'layla nehege yomam v'layla ve'avatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch ata Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'id. Page 35. You shall love the ones who are close with all your heart, with all your spirit, with all your strength. Remember these words, inscribe them on your heart. Love them when they struggle, when they sadden and disappoint you. Love them when they fail. See the good within them, even when they can't. Look at them and listen, even when it's hard. Be grateful for their guidance, even their reproof, when they save you from yourself. Love them when they give you joy, and love them when they don't. When you lie down, let go of anger. When you rise up at dawn, begin again. Praise them for their deeds at home. Speak to them in public with respect. Bind yourselves to the ones you love with promises kept and vows fulfilled. Open to them the gates of your heart, the doorway of your soul, and let them know you. So shall the ones you cherish feel your love, your presence, and your care. Page 39.
This is an interesting reading. I think it's challenging. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment, like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go, so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride, thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you, how he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to mail letters and purchase bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend.
Page 40 in the middle of the page. And again, we use our high holiday melody. Mi chamocha ma'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedach b'kodesh, no tehilot oseh fenai. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze Eli anu ve'amhu, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'id.
As it is written, Adonai will save Jacob and redeem him from one stronger than himself. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, eternal power, the one who redeemed Israel. 42. Our prayer for evenings of all kinds. Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. With power sublime, spread over us your shelter of shalom, and through your wisdom restore us, make us whole. Let your name proclaim your presence in our lives. Be our shield. Make us stronger than the enemies we face, illness and war, famine and sorrow, and stronger than the enemies in our hearts, wickedness and sin. Carry us to safety as on wings, for you are the monarch of grace, the sovereign of compassion. You are the one who cares for us and sets us free. Watch over us, we who go forth to life. Watch over us, that we may come home in peace, now and until the end of time.
Baruch atah, atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Once again. Baruch atah, atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom. Shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah, atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol
45 in the middle. Peace comes with the sunset. Cool breezes ease the heat of day. All things settle into stillness. Gentle song of crickets, moonrise and the silence of night. Give us shelter in your presence. Bring peace to those who yearn for peace. Enfold us in your quiet. Let our fears find rest in you.
Page 46 at the top. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. הים פדם פם פם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. פם 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 ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ויום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. הים פדם פם פם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We continue with the Amidah, the even number pages, starting with 48. Please rise if you're able.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, העליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוליד הטל, מחכה לחיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים. צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל.
You are holy. Your name is holy. Seekers of holiness praise you day by day. Selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Blessed are you, the unending source of holiness. Page 60. Please be seated. Our God who is ours, and God of our fathers and mothers, may our rest on this Shabbat bring you pleasure. Lead us to holiness through your mitzvot, and may each of us find a portion of Torah that is ours. You bestow such goodness. Teach us to be satisfied and to know the joy of your salvation. Help us to serve you truly with purity of heart. Let your holy Shabbat be our heritage, embraced freely and with love. And may all our people bring holiness to your name by resting on this day. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Our praise to you, Eternal One. You bring holiness to Shabbat. Page 66. God who is ours, God of all generations, to you we are grateful forever. Rock and protector of our lives, your saving power endures from age to age. We thank you and tell the tale of your praise, your power in our lives, your caring for our souls, the constant miracle of your kindness. Morning, noon, and night, we call you goodness, for your compassion never ends. We call you mercy, for your love has no limit. We call you hope, now and for all time. 68. And for all these gifts, God of mercy, may your name come to be blessed and praised. Our gratitude a daily offering until the end of time. And may all life resound with gratitude and faith in praise of your name. God, you free us and strengthen us. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise.
Top of page 70. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Ki ata hu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav, al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael bashalom. You, Adonai, are the blessed one who blesses us with peace. We continue silently through any of the readings on the next several pages.
הגיחון ליבי לפניך. Adonai tuhi turi, Adonai tuhi turi, Adonai tuhi vargu ali. Amen.
On page 76, a prayer for healing, and then Misha Berach in the middle of the facing page. May the one whose blessings are many heal and bless us and all those who live in the shadow of illness. May God's care bring us comfort and courage. May God's love open our eyes to the faith and compassion around us. May the source of hope and renewal show us the way toward peace of mind, wholeness within, and strength from community. Source of blessings, as you inspired Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, inspire us too. Let us shine the soft light of human kindness in dark places. Let song, prayer, and silence be our instruments of care and healing. Let us all, the sick and the well together, be blessed as God blessed Joshua, Chazak ve'ematz, be strong and of good courage. Let us say, Amen. If there are names of people you would like to add to our prayer for healing, as I look at you, please say their names aloud.
Rabbi Sissy Coran, Rabbi Linda Joseph, Rabbi Raphael Goldstein. Nishabeha Avoteinu Miko Habracha Leimahotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishabeach imotenu, mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
As we approach the start of the new year, I spoke at the beginning about things that we should take the time to figure out where they are, where we are in our lives. And that doesn't always include where we stand Jewishly. Sometimes when we think of these, we think of issues of how we treat others, we think of issues of human rights, but I wanted to bring it back to what it means to be Jewish, to live a Jewish life. And particularly to what happens when we find something in Torah that's just wrong. And I'm pretty certain that the example I'm going to give is one that we can all go, it's wrong. There are things that you and I might not agree on. There are things that some people, whatever. I'm going to give you a mitzvah that no Jew has ever done. Not one ever. And so the question comes up, what do we do when we confront a mitzvah, a commandment from God, that we look and we go, that's wrong? Now, as I see it, there are three options. We can either say it's not wrong, which is the traditional Jewish approach, and I'll talk about it. Or we can say this whole system is wrong, it's all worthless, and walk away. Or we try to find the middle ground. The middle ground that says, no, I can't accept this, but this doesn't mean we throw everything out. I would propose to you that this middle ground is what we Reform Jews try to do, and it is the most difficult of the three approaches. Because it's not a mistake one, we just do what any fundamentalist does, that old bumper sticker that I've quoted for years, God said it, I believe it, and that settles it. And that's one way of looking at it. It's simply right, and we just don't get it. Okay. The other simple approach is to say, it's all garbage, it's all nonsense, and walk away. But what do we do when we can't do one and won't do the other? When we cannot say this is okay, but we're not ready to throw everything out together. So I want to read to you a little bit from this week's Torah portion. And again, tell me please if you disagree, because I think it's wrong. Okay? So, if a person has a wayward and defiant son who does not heed his father or mother and does not obey them even after they discipline him, his father and mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of the town at the public place of his community. They shall say to the elders of his town, this son of ours is disloyal and defiant. He does not heed us. He is a glutton and a drunkard. Thereupon the men of his town shall stone him to death. Thus you will sweep out evil from your midst. All Israel will hear and be afraid. Now, I did not ask if any of you have had a moment when you wanted to kill a teenager. That's not what I asked, because you've only had that if you've had a teenager. Al Vorspan, Zichrono Livracha, one of the giants of social justice for the Reform movement, wrote a book in the 60s that's called The Teenagers Are Revolting. And he meant it in both ways. So we know this is almost the nature of a teenager, to rebel, to be other, to find their way, to be different. Or as I put it, a teenager's job is to make their parents sick. And that's part of your identity, actually. Because when you make your parents sick, it's clear that you're not your parents' shadow. I'm clearly not my parents because look what I'm doing to them. They are nauseated by my appearance or my behavior or whatever it is. And so clearly I'm not them. And that's part of differentiating. And yet, I know, because we have it through our sources, that no Jewish child was ever brought out to the public square and stoned to death by the community. Now, how does traditional Judaism deal with this? Last year in the Mishnah class, we actually looked at this one. So what they did was they said, okay, no, remember the law's never wrong, right? It's Torah, it's never wrong. But in order to do this, you must fulfill every single part of this one. So if it says, who does not heed his father or mother, if the child heeds one of them but not the other, this doesn't apply. Who does not obey them even after they discipline him. How many times do you have to discipline him before they say they didn't obey? It's around 50 times. Father and mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of his town in a public place. If only one of them wants to kill them, it doesn't work. If only the father takes hold of him, only the mother takes hold of him, it doesn't work. I've always said about my children that they were very fortunate that both their parents never wanted to kill them at the same time. Because there were times where each of us would, through gritted teeth, go, they're yours. Handle them. And walk away, and we did. So both the mother and the father need to do this. Then they have to come and declare in front of everybody, this son of ours is disloyal and defiant. What if they're only disloyal? You can't do this. What if they're only defiant? You can't do it. Okay? He does not heed us. He is a glutton and a drunkard. What if he's only a glutton? Doesn't work. What if he's only a drunkard? Doesn't work. What if he's a drunkard and defiant? Doesn't work because he needs to be a glutton and needs to be wayward. And so on to the point, even in the Mishnah, where you know this will never happen. And the laws actually go on as to what you have to do in order to do it. Because as traditional Jews, they can't say what I said at the beginning of this, which is the Torah is wrong. This is not a way to deal with a teenager for a number of reasons, including the fact that if we did this to every Jewish teenager, there would be no more Jews. We would be the last generation and that would be it. But beyond that, we also know this is not the way to deal with a child. This is not the way to deal with the most difficult child. Even a child that needs to be punished does not deserve the death penalty. And we're talking about a child. It says so. So we can look at this and go, oh, useless. I assume did I have any disagreement here? Is there anyone here who felt, no, this is a rational and realistic way of handling a problem? Can I get a show of hands? Okay, we're all on the same page, so that's why we're here.
It's only for Jewish people.
Yes, this is for our children.
It's very similar to part of the Sharia law.
It is, and that's about 1,500 years later, and I don't know how many of them have ever done it either. This is for us with our people. So, excuse me? Okay. So this is wrong. This is not a way to do this. There should have been other things. By the way, there are lots of other things. If they're only gluttonous and not drunkard, whatever, I mean, it's not like you do this or nothing. So there's the temptation. And I've had many, I can't call them Reform Jews. I've had many Jews who are no longer connected to any form of Judaism who will point to one mitzvah or another and say, look at that. How can anyone believe that? It's all nonsense. I'd ask you to think of that in terms of a relationship. If you have a relationship and you're ready to trash it the minute the other person does something wrong, your relationship will, by definition, be very short-lived. Because it is the nature of human beings, it's why we're coming up to high holidays, that we do things wrong, that we make mistakes. As I said before, very seldom are we out to do things wrong. We miss the mark. But what happens if the first time someone misses the mark, you say it's over? Well, we know that that's not going to work long term. So what else is there about the person that would make it worth us staying in the relationship even when they do something wrong? Well, let's take a look at just a couple of things that are also in this Torah portion. And I did pick and choose here, but I want you to listen. If you see your fellow's ox or sheep gone astray, do not ignore it. You must take it back to your fellow. If your fellow does not live near you, or you do not know who he is, you shall bring it home, and it shall remain with you until your fellow claims it. Then shall you give it back to him. You shall do the same with his ass. You shall do the same with his garment. And so too shall you do with anything that your fellow loses and you find. You must not remain indifferent. Interesting, because in most cases in the United States, what is the applicable law which we learned in second grade?
Finders, keepers, losers.
Finders,
keepers.
keepers, losers, weepers. Right? In this case, I would actually say finders, weepers. Because let's say you find your neighbor's prize cow, and your neighbor is away for 4 months. You have to take the cow in and feed it and care for it. And you know how much your neighbor owes you when they get back? 0. Now, it would be nice, the rabbis say, if they were to ask you, what did it cost you to do this? Can I repay you? But in fact, you can't demand repayment in order to give them their animal back. Even if it cost you whatever the currency is, $1,000 or $5,000, you are not allowed to demand that. Hashev tavshiv, you must return it to him, says Torah. Different thing. If you see your fellow's ass or ox fallen on the road, do not ignore it. You must help him raise it. It's our obligation even to help them with one of their animals that's suffering. for no fee, for nothing back. You see that an animal has fallen and your neighbor's trying to help it back up. Try lifting up a cow. It's not easy. You must go over and help. That's our job. That's in this portion. If along the road you chance upon a bird's nest, in any tree or on the ground, with fledglings or eggs, and the mother sitting over the fledglings or on the eggs, do not take the mother together with her young. Let the mother go, and take only the young, in order that you may fare well and have a long life. We've all heard the expression bird brain. I don't know many birds that are way up there in the IQ level. It's probably fair to say that the bird doesn't really notice if you go and take the young or take the eggs. I could be wrong. We're not allowed to do that. Shoo the bird away. Bird comes back, the eggs are gone. Oh, okay, I guess there were no eggs or whatever. I'll go on and start over and we'll do it again. Because it's inhuman. Not it's in bird. It's inhuman. It's not about the bird. This mitzvah is about the human. This is about who we are. It's not about the animal. It's not about the ox that fell or was lost. It's not about the bird that might see its young taken. It's about who we are. When you build a new house, you shall make a parapet for your roof, so that you do not bring blood guilt on your house if anyone should fall from it.
It's here.
It's here. When you drive out today, you're going to see now two signs on the way out. Don't know if you've noticed them. But it says on a little metal sign heading right up our driveway, fasten your seatbelt. Deuteronomy 22:8. That's this. If we create a danger, we must create the remedy. If you build a house and it's got a roof deck, you have to put a fence around it. Well, it's not my fault if someone's too stupid and they fall off it. Yes, it is. Yes, it most specifically is your fault. If you build a roof deck and you don't put a fence around it, it's your fault. Well, they were drunk, they weren't paying attention. Doesn't matter. Our job is to protect people. By the way, if you get in a missile, which a car is, you need to find the way to strap the people in so that if the car decides to stop, the people stop also. I was long ago when I was on the first aid squad when I asked the temple permission to allow me to buy that sign and install it, because this is back when people were still arguing about whether you wore seatbelts or not. You know, they mess your clothing. And I said, no, we've got to remember this. One last one. You shall make tassels on the four corners of your garment with which you cover yourself. Every talit has four. So what do we do? Some of these seem to make sense. So we can say, okay, I'll follow the ones that make sense. There's a challenge in that. I find that a lot of these mitzvot don't make sense until you do them. I didn't understand the sense behind many of the mitzvot until I made them part of my life. I'll save for another time. I did not grow up wearing a talit. But my experience of spending 9 months wearing a talit, I suddenly understood it. And if I had said, well, that one doesn't make sense, I'm not going to do it, I never would have discovered that. By the way, I also did a 3-month experiment with tefillin, because it says to. At the beginning of the 3 months, I felt incredibly uncomfortable strapping those leather things onto me every day when I prayed. So I did it for 3 months, 6 days a week. You don't do it on Shabbat. And at the end of 3 months, I thought about it, and I realized that I felt really uncomfortable doing it. A friend of mine said years later, I felt like a Jewish biker, strapping leather around me before I go out. And so I don't do tefillin. because I listened and I couldn't hear its meaning, which could very well be my own failing, which is why I've never told anyone don't do it. But if we just say I'll do the ones that make sense, let me tell you which ones you're going to do. You're going to do the ones that keep you out of jail. Don't steal, don't murder. Okay, good. And you're going to probably, because I know all of you and you're basically nice people, you'll do some of the nice ones. You'll give food to people who are hungry. Maybe you'll help someone if they've fallen down. And that's it. It's better than the people who go, it's all garbage, I'm not doing anything. But can't we do better than this? Isn't there a way for us to look at Torah as we would look at a person we love? And say, no, I don't love everything about you. I love you, and the whole package comes together. That doesn't mean I embrace the parts that are driving me crazy, but I embrace you. And so when you're wrong, I'll need to tell you that I think you're wrong, and I'll try to do it gently. If I really disagree with you, we may decide that you're going to do one thing, I'm going to do another, because I really don't see that. But maybe you have things to teach me that I just don't even understand when I look at them. And so what if we were to look at Torah? What if we were to look at Judaism not as an all or nothing, it's right or we throw it out, and instead do what we're called upon to do, which is to embrace Torah as we embrace someone we love. We take their good qualities, we take their bad qualities. Perhaps some of our good qualities will rub off on them. And by the way, we Reform Jews have brought a whole lot to Judaism that isn't in Torah. A whole lot of the commitment to social justice that goes on is the things that we brought into the mix that aren't in there. The very basic idea that Torah applies not only to Jews, but everybody around us, is not a traditional Jewish idea. When it says love your neighbor as yourself, traditional Judaism reads that as love your Jewish neighbor as yourself. We Reform Jews came along in this country and said, no, we don't live in shtetls, we don't live in ghettos. And so our neighbors come in lots of different varieties. And when Torah says love your neighbor as yourself, we need to be a little more expansive in our definition of neighbor. We've brought that. So I think Judaism has learned from us as well. But this time of year, as we start to think about what next year will look like for us as people, as citizens, as Jews, I'd like to challenge you that maybe it's time to go back and not be so glib about the ones we write off. To say, let me find out first. From the outside, it looks strange. I mean, you'll pardon me, but taking a big cloth with strings on the end and wrapping it around you to pray is not something that comes naturally to humans. We could do that. We could try it. Maybe we'll hear a meaning we didn't know. Maybe we'll try it and find that the meaning isn't there for us and we'll stop doing it. Maybe there's a holiday. Maybe there's an observance. Maybe it's building a sukkah or lighting Shabbat candles or keeping kosher or whatever it might be that from the outside it doesn't seem logical. But that doesn't make it wrong. Because there are some that are wrong. To me, the ones that say that a woman is not treated as a full human being is wrong. The idea that a woman needs to be separated from the community 1 week out of the month is wrong. I understand where it comes from. I'm not interested in trying that to see if there's holiness in it. I think it's wrong. But so many of the things that I do, that we do, are things I never would have imagined doing. I didn't grow up kosher. Didn't grow up wearing a talit. Didn't grow up wearing a kippah. Talit and kippah are what bar mitzvah boys wear. One day. Then you put it back in the box it came in until it disintegrates in the box. We can do this. We do not need to be binary in our understanding of Judaism. It's not all or nothing. Now, Orthodox brothers and sisters would disagree with me on that one, and that's okay. But what if we were to look at something that we've written off? It would be different for each of us. And say, in this year, I want to find out whether there's wisdom in it for me. I want to find out whether it brings me closer to God, whether it brings me closer to the Jewish people. Perhaps even it brings me closer to my true self. This isn't a sales pitch for kashrut, but I will tell you that keeping kosher has required me to address my cravings. It's required of me that I say, I can't eat something just because I want it. I need to think about what I'm eating and eat it at the proper time if it's the proper thing to eat. I love cheeseburgers. Loved. Well, no, I still love them. No, I still really, I can taste them. Last one I had was in the fall of 1972. I can still taste it. And yet, I've lived a fairly full life, having given them up then. I learned things about myself that I didn't know when I looked to the wisdom of our ancestors. As a Reformed Jew, I am comfortable saying some of them, no. Not trying it, not doing it, not even giving it the time of day. But for others, I've grown and I've learned by being open to the thought that maybe there's more here than I understand. It's worked. And as we approach the start of this new year, I highly recommend it.
On page 136 is one of my favorite inserts for the high holidays. It starts with Adonai, Adonai. And in Hebrew, whenever there's a doubling of a word, it's particularly done so that we pay attention. To me, I've always thought Adonai, the first one, was that we look outward to God, and Adonai, the second one, that we look inside ourselves to find what is godly in us. If while I'm singing, if you know this song, please sing with me, but if not, please read the English translation right underneath. Adonai, Adonai, Erachum v'chanun, Adonai, 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 Erachum v'chanun, Adonai, Erech apayim v'rahav chesed ve'emed, Adonai, נוצר חסר לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. אדוני, אדוני, הרחום וחנון, אדוני, אדוני, Adonai, Erachum v'chanun, Adonai.
Page 78. Again, please rise if you're able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוחסה את הארץ ומשל יקרו
בשמיים ממעל ושכינה תוזו בגוהים מרומים
הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשיבות אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. Page 80. And so, Adonai our God, we look to you, hoping soon to behold the splendor of your power revealed, a world free of idolatry and false gods, a world growing more perfect through divine governance, a world in which all human beings make known your name, while those who do evil turn instead toward you. ונהמה והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You all have the announcement sheet. Looking around, I'm guessing that most of you are aware the holidays are coming. If you have not told us which services you're coming to, please do. It really helps us a great deal to know that. Also, next Saturday, a week from tomorrow, is our annual Slichot barbecue and service, which is free and open to you and to anyone you want to bring along. All you have to do is let us know in advance how many people are coming. The information is on the sheet. Also, we could really use some volunteers. If you're able to set up, cook, serve, or clean up, please, the information's here. Also, please call the office or call Karen Goldstein, who's doing this. Email her. Let her know that you can volunteer. That would really be great. We have a wonderful turnout already. Nearly 100 people have signed up, and it should be really nice. Rain or shine, we're having it. So please do that. And after the barbecue, it's followed by Slichot service, the first official service of the high holidays. We get to hear all the new music. For many of you, it will be your first chance to hear Cantor Lawrence, who will be here that evening. Hope you're going to come and welcome him and make him feel comfortable here. Our adult education classes are starting this Monday? Okay, thank you. 6 days from now for the Thursday class, and then the Monday after that. I've spoken about this before. I'm really excited about this class. It's something I've not done before, and not ever done it in this way. I have taught classes about prayer, but I've never taught a class in prayer. And we're going to try to do this really differently, whether you are comfortable praying on a daily basis, or whether the word prayer just is like a foreign word that you know what it means, but you don't know what it means. It doesn't matter. We're going to try to take the time and explore what we can do. How could we include communication with God, with people, with ourselves in our lives? So I'm really excited about teaching it, and people have asked if they should do the daytime or the evening session. All I can tell you is that the two sessions are the same subject and they run radically differently, which is really cool because they're different people. I just look at times and go, I was the same teacher, we had the same text, how come those two classes went in completely different directions? Which is just fantastic. It makes it so much fun to do. So please, I think there's a $20 fee to cover all the materials for the whole year. Sign up, let us know you're coming, and come join us. And if you don't like it, don't stay. You get your whole tuition back. This Sunday, just want to point out to all of you, and I hope you'll join us, at 10:30 in the morning, we have a program sponsored by the Reformed Jewish Voice of New Jersey, which is going to be discussing the issues of climate change. We have two guest speakers. One is our Congressman, Frank Pallone. The other is one of our state representatives. And after the program, the speeches and whatever, there's going to be projects. Kids, grandchildren are are invited as well. There'll be programs for them after religious school. There'll be lunch at 12 o'clock. But the program starts at 10 o'clock. And again, please just let us know you're coming. Just text, email, whatever. Or at this point, actually, just leave a message on the temple phone, and we'll see you. And I think that's it. Anything I missed from anyone? Okay. It's really hard doing stuff with one hand.
86.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, I want to do one reading, I think. No, that's right. Page 86. We marked the 18th anniversary of 9/11 yesterday. And I'm astonished by the difference in reactions of those who were in the Northeast and those who were anywhere else in the world when it happened. I was astonished back when it happened. I remember a friend sending me a note saying, "Hey, Don, I'm going to be on TV next week for something." And I said, "I won't be able to see it." They said, "Why not?" I said, "Because we don't have TV in New York. We have 9/11 coverage and cartoons. Those are our only two options." He was like, "You kidding? We went back to regular programming a week ago." I said, "I know, but we didn't." The antennas were gone, right? But
Right.
If you didn't have cable, you had nothing.
that's right. But
Oh,
but
right.
even when we looked at that, it was anything that was in any way based around New York, including CNN and these things. Just it was different for us. It was different for us because I think there's a difference between something that happens to people we don't know and to people we do know. And for many of us, if not most of us, it was people we know. So we take into our hearts the names of those who died on 9/11 and those who died in the years after as a result of 9/11. And to those names, I ask if there are individual names that you would like to say, please rise. And as I look at you, say them aloud.
Barry Clark, Bill Edwards, Nancy Farley, Linda Sheehan, Nancy Lee, Paul Kelly.
Amatam Yenachem Etchem, Im Sha'ar Avlei Tzion V'Yerushalayim. May God console you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, va'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar, v'yitale, v'yithalal, shmei d'kudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, V'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. Let perfect peace abound. Let there be abundant life for us and for all Israel. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, all Israel, and all who dwell on earth. And let us say, Amen. Hu ya'aseh shalom.
Aleinu ועל כל ישראל,
ועל כל יושבי תבל. Please turn all the way back to page 12. Thank you. Right. We join together in Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
I'm not even going to try to lift that.
Neither am I. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Have at it. For our final song, please turn to page 92. And this is a melody that I remember singing as a kid. And while I love being in choir and we have all of these fabulous new melodies to traditional liturgy, this one really comes from way back when. Hashivenu.
Oh.
Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha. ונשובה, ונשובה, חדיש, חדיש, ימינו כקדים, השיבנו, השיבנו, אדוני אליך. ונשובה, ונשובה, חדיש, חדיש, ימינו כקדים.
I love pointing out to people that at one place where Israel is receiving the commandments are given, and then the Israelites go, Kol asher diber Adonai na'aseh v'nishma. Everything that God has said, we will do and we will hear. And the rabbis pointed out, what's wrong with that? Anyone? What's wrong with that phrasing?
You do it first and then you understand.
How can you do it without hearing it? Everything that God says we will do and we will hear. It should say we'll hear and then we'll do. And the rabbi said, no. Because a lot of the things that I'm telling you to do, you won't be able to hear them until you do them. And that hearing ties in so much with the holidays because we are commanded to hear the sound of the shofar, reminding us to wake up. So would you please turn to page 89? Let us ascend as we hear the call of community, the voice of return. Let us ascend as we feel the pull and power of tradition. Let us ascend toward forgiveness and peace of mind, toward heartfelt change and acts of repair. Let us ascend to the sound of shofar. Let us enter the gates of teshuvah. Reach deep into the sanctuary of the heart. Reach beyond to the infinite and eternal. Reach deep with every quiet breath. Reach beyond, summoned by the ancient ringing blast of the shofar. Baruch atah Adonai shomea truah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who hears the sounding of the shofar. Tekiah. Shvarim truah. Tekiah gedolah. Shabbat shalom and
Shabbat
Shana
shalom.
Tova, everyone.
Shabbat tova.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Shana tova, Yishkov. Shabbat shalom. Oops, oops, oops.
So Rabbi, what are your thoughts on Shabbos elevators, errors, workarounds? Workarounds.
And there are workarounds, and if you find that it's
and they were blocking roads. And there's a group of women that